Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Namaste. I say, all my people, shalom. Um, need subscribe to a couple people because this is the road to glory, as we say. Um, Shout out Yaki Awaken. Yaki had a seminar the other day. He came to the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, if y'all don't know, area. And it was sponsored, or I'm sorry, not sponsored, I don't want to say that. It was held by, there you go, one of the hosts. Other than his own host, Nabi, shout out him, was a Moore. I think it goes by Maurice Bay. Shout out them. This is how we should be networking. Not arguing about Morocco and Israelites, because that means you didn't do your homework on Morocco had Israelites. They had Judaism. They accepted free religion. This is where you get the idea of free government. Research. So I'm laughing. This is how I know it's agents, out here that's setting this confusion. Again, shout out Yaki. He put a spotlight on the etymology of war, and y'all know I love looking up words. You look up the etymology of war coming from High German, Old Frankish, war, meaning to set confusion, make things perplex. I say, wow, like, my mind just went off. I say, yo, this is what's going on. People are making things complex and more perplex than they have to be on purpose. And they're doing it rhythmatically as they watch the masses, because we have smartphones and they read your text messages and all this. They know where your awareness is headed. Talking about awareness, I had to write a note. This is where we're going with this. Shalom, everything's in a full circle. And then watch this. They're studying us, just like we should be studying them. The sad part is that we're not studying them and using the collective to come up with solutions as we study, like they do. And they put people out here that mislead and put misinformation. This is why I like reading. I take my time, and I thank God I'm getting sponsored to read right now. This is what I call it. Taking myself through school. Talking about awareness. I noticed like just dogs outside. The dogs, animals, insects. I noticed like I think we misuse the word conscious, and this is what I mean by agents setting up for the woke community. You see how they setting you up into a trap to categorize you, to cap your greatness off, to cap and control your narrative, so they control how far you can go and the conclusions that you'll come to, which basically ultimately controls your solutions, which means you don't come up with real solutions because you don't see the real problem. But confusion, war. I realize animals and insects are conscious. So what do that really mean? I think the superior gift would be, if you're getting superior, or the human gift would be the fact that we have attentive awareness. Basically, our awareness can keep growing like the universe does. It keeps expanding. And this alertness or this awareness can help you learn in increments of times. And how much you learn within the increment of time is how much data you can download, you dig, which is going to your DNA. proven. I think this is why we're overstimulated about being intellectual and being articulate and, oh, I can talk this way, I can read this and I know this, and it's like, okay, that's not to say it, and that's not the end of it. That's not to say it all, be it all. That's none of that. Cool that we know. The game is, what can we do? Can we get in the game? Like I said, we got a lot of confusion. So, to make things more perplex, arguments within arguments, from its people from Africa, and if you don't believe, your conquerors, I'm sorry, I'm trying to say this as calm and turn a new leaf as I can, but it's kind of, now that I see though, it's silly to me. I ain't gonna lie. So you have arguments within arguments, and it's like a lot of people think they know something because they, somebody already fed them that information, they accepted it. So again, you have one argument that's within an argument that goes like, well, you hear this new talk of these people that hate themselves and they don't like Africans, or they ain't saying they African, and somehow they think they were just in America. And it's like, dang, like you ain't do no research on who these people was, who Hernando de Santo, the conquistador himself, met. In the 1500s, be Pacific. I don't know, called the Mayans. Really, Itza is a Hebrew word, but we'll get there later. I'm just trying to figure out, like, why do people egos attach to something that they really didn't do their due diligence? You see what I'm saying? But I get it, because your ego has already attached to it. You already done talked your messed about it. You already done walked around and said you black and you proud and all this other stuff. So it's like for youngins and all these other people that come to you with, hey, we're actually the Indians, which is still a third point of view. And then we was changed to mulattoes. I was just watching the whole video about Sambos, but anyway. Then the Negroes, which is black in Spanish, and still black today. But I guess our egos got attached to that, and it hurts to realize that we've been fooled. And it's crazy that they're mad at people like us for doing the homework for you, instead of being mad at the people who fooled you and told you that you made it over almost a month to 2 months course. Let's say definitely 2 months, because they wasn't rowing the boat according to them. It was just thousands and millions of y'all just supposed to be under the boat without food or eating scraps in between making bowel maneuvers and using the bathroom on yourselves. But somehow y'all made it over here by the millions. And now we still only at like 45 million. Anyway. And while they was doing that, they also was kicking the Indians out in 1825 off the East Coast by the, Andrew Jackson, the Trail of Tears. Look it up, so-called. And that's still only, 30 years, 35 years before the Civil War? So, this is what I'm saying. Some things are just not aligning. But again, we got agents out here, and it's crazy the people I see. I'm making this video early. I'm not even gonna post it to the morning because I have to sign in on my YouTube and subscribe to certain people like Umar Johnson. I'm saying names because it's getting ridiculous. I seen this dude on YouTube named Darius. I'll show him in a second. I might show his face because then when he find out he wrong, he might get mad and do some copyright infringement and be like, take it down. You know how people do. I'm telling you, ego is crazy, y'all. So maybe I should play it and y'all can hear it, and then I'm gonna show you his face. But why people don't talk to me though? Hold up, let's go back. So I like how he's going through and editing clips on how people are trying to verify that they know that they are the American copper-colored Indians, which they're right, but he's also right that the fact that they're not using any type of good validity, which means they're just using closed loops and other how can I say this? Things that they just can't prove. They're using statements that don't lead to proof. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it simple. And I like that, but what I'm saying is the statements that he's using to refute that they could be wrong, he didn't have his statements himself are not closed loops, are not full thoughts. You get what I'm saying? But it's no attacking him because at the end he does admit that he's actually just using quote unquote, he's pushing the discipline line so that we explain ourselves better, which is good. That is good.
Okay,
so that's what I mean by checking biases.
Actually, I have done the math. According to most reliable estimates, about 2 million died on the Middle Passage over the course of nearly 4 centuries. That doesn't take into account those that died on the way to the coast even before they got to the slave ships.
But see, he did the same thing. He's talking without references. He said by reliable source. What source? Do you have availability or access to the slave rosters? Because we still haven't seen those. And according to us, everything in business is documented, including my 16th great grandfather who's on documentation coming from England. See what I'm saying? I have one great grandfather on one side that comes from England and married into the family to my indigenous 16th great grandmother named Susanna. See what I'm saying? And this is all on the Freedom of Information, or because of the Freedom of Information Act. It's all on Ancestry.com. And I have the paper of his servitude paper being a servitude to Britain because he was from England. But and I guess I shouldn't just say that, right? Let me find it and put it up. But my point is he didn't put up no sources and I know he can't put up no sources at that point because nobody has no slave rosters. They don't even have the ships. So again, it's like, it's scary because people won't really go back and do their research and just admit, okay, you're right, we do got something here. We got to build on this, not false premises. There you go. And that's what he was proving, that people, statements to show validity didn't have stable premises, which is cool, because I do. I do. One thing about me. I do. And this is why I'm putting them out, so I won't be the only one to have them. You know how that go. You know how this goes. Don't want to be the only one with this type of knowledge. This is why I tell our people study. Shows that you love your people. Don't be lazy. I showed it before, but every time I bring it up, I need to have it on me. Boom. There you go. Facts. Got this off of Ancestry.com. Is it on there? No. But it comes with these papers. That's a fact. I don't ever come off Ancestry.com. And no, you don't take no blood test. That's a lie. A blood test can make your chromosomes, which is covering your proteins, which are just all together creating DNA patterns, and any dark melanin being can be compared to another dark melanin being, and they can say that they're similar. So that if they wanted to, they could just say, oh, we all came from Melanesia. But did they say that? And why didn't they? And if that's the case, Australians come from Africa. So how long ago did they come from Africa? Why did we just come from Africa when they stole us? Anyway, this is the paper from my 16th great-grandfather, the only one in my family that's from out of this country, that's foreign. He was a servitude or servant for Great Britain for 7 years. You know, indentured servitude contracts. Then I have my family history showing that we go beyond the Constitution. So you tell me they brought millions of Africans from 1600 to the Constitution, while they also having Indian wars like the 7-year Beaver War and the French and Indian and the American Revolutionary War? Not happening. And like he said, I hate just answering questions in that closed loop. I can tell you what happened because I did the studies, and we have oral history in our own family that they cut off. And of course, they burnt our books up. And they even did it so dirty, they burnt the libraries in every county in the South just to disconnect us so we can't prove us having ownership to the land. You know I'm rocking my little flag too, man. Shout out to all the legions. We ain't got time to be gang banging. We ain't no different from the GDs if we talking about Israelites or Moors. It's the same thing. What we trying to do is connect the real code. The real code is that nationality and bloodline, which trumps everything, because we can come up with a whole new one. But it need to be proven. It need to come off what? Stable foundations and principles, which is bloodline, which is the common law and national law and universal law everywhere. Since the Bible. Since you Bible thumpers love it. And this is why we have to prove. I'm sorry. Use the wrong word because we already know that. They know it. We should know it. That's the problem. This is why we have to stand on truth and knowing that Mayans, Olmecs, and all indigenous people was here too in America and was dark. And they was created from the ground and the soil of America, for people don't know. And people was here before the world broke apart. Boom. So when we have that type of argument before we be, come on, man, doubting ourselves like we ain't have ships and stuff, like we wasn't trading already. It's weird to me. We got evidence that we traded. We know about the Moors. We know about the Ottoman Empire that went further in the spice trade, which was in the Indian Sea, the Indian that leads to Pacific Ocean. We know this. We can trace words and food that go back to the Pacific Ocean, that leads to the Hawaii, that leads to Maui, that leads back to America. We know about California, named after the great mother Cali. You should. Talk about mental things like awareness. I have to bring up what my next video is going to be about psychosis and how people live out of reality. See what I'm saying? Starting off with calling yourself black and living out of reality. Really thinking that's a nationality or that's something you should agree to. And on that note, Shout out Dane Calloway too, man. You know, I say Umar Angstrom on another interview. He say he was telling Dane, he said he did answer a good question too. Even though I don't trust Umar, like I said, he asked a good question. He said, "What are you building?" And that's a lovely question, but we got to come in checks and balance. Because if I angst, or if the people angst, what are you exactly building, and you come up with this Pan-Africanism, which I'm not mad at because we need to link up with Africa and get some trade lines back up going and all of this. But if you're doing like my man doing, now we're going to show his face this time. We're going to at him, Darius. We're going to at you, man. If you're doing like he doing, lying about or contradicting yourself is the right word. That's what we live in, hypocrisy, as the Bible knew we would in the last days. He's, again, criticizing these people's validity on them telling people that they're American, original American colored people of America. And he's saying that their validity points are missing real substantial evidence. There you go. And their statements are having circular reasons, as he called it, they're shifting the burden of proof by questioning the question, which I get. They appeal they compose of fallacies, basically. So it might be what he's saying is like half truth, leading to factual errors, is what he also says. And arguments from incredulity, which is saying like, where's the source, where's the credit? And which I'm saying is the same questions, the way he criticized their statements with, is the same thing he would do, or he can get, because he doesn't have no credible source. And one of them that he used was saying that Ghana and Benin has nationally apologized for their involvement in the slavery or the slave trade. It's sad. This is what I mean, a lack of Hosea 4:6. Say our people perish for the lack of knowledge. And we so busy on everything else but raising our own nation. Here we go. That is not a credible source, because you're talking about the presidents of today claiming that they had involvement with slavery, which is a lie because they wasn't even living. Oh, okay, before you think I'm being too semantic, right? Let's go back to the fact that literally Ghana didn't even exist at the time of slavery. God dang, man. Of the transatlantic slavery, to be specific, because we still live in it. I'm talking about the transatlantic slave trade as we think it is. Ghana didn't exist. Benin didn't exist as we know it. So what are they talking about? The people of Benin went by different tribes. The people of Ghana went certainly by different tribes, like Ashanti. We can go on and on. I don't even want to go down the line. My point is you had different tribes. One of them specifically that I am going to point out, because they admit in history between them and England that they had indentured servitudes in Brazil. Now, how do they know about Brazil before the Europeans got there? Just go back to my point that we've been trading. And this is why you got to bring up Morocco. It ain't about saying I'm a Moor or I'm an Israelite, so I'm this. It's about bringing up evidence. I'm American. That's what I am. That's a nationality. In Americas, the etymology of America goes back to Amerikush, the extension of Kush, the Wild Wild West, Al-Maghrib. This is why a lot of our history is in Arabic. This is why Muhammad Ali and a lot of people was going in Arabic. And they didn't get deep enough to be able to explain this to us, but they was getting close. This is why Malcolm X came back over and said, let's nationalize. And this is what we should be talking about. Nationalism. Not that, not this, not who she and what he and last week. None of that matters. We stood in a deposition on this earth where we at the bottom of class in our own home. Lyndon B. Johnson himself shook Martin Luther King's hand and signed the end of poverty back in 1950. Why do we still have poverty in 2024? Because y'all distracted. See, I ain't gonna just answer questions, I'm gonna answer them, but then y'all hate when people got all the answers right. Stubborn bulls, like I say, our people are. Anyway, him contradicting himself is the only problem I had, but I get his criticism. Like he said, he admitted it's to push the discipline line. And now I'm here to call you out, Mr. Darius. If your actual standpoint is not believing that people of my kind and color was here already, then let's please not argue. Let's have a debate. Let's get to the basis, and I prove to you every time. I ain't got to just pull this out. We're going to pull real things out. I'm going to get to showing you my grandma's name and how she part of Virginia London Company. Her name is Virginia, and she got that name from her aunt, which is my great aunt, Virginia, because they've been trading with people. And I got a picture of the Albanoid, or the Albany as they called them at that time, the Caucasian who used to come down to Georgia and trade with my people, which was Indians. Okay. Whatever that called, that's the third point of view. We was just tribal, American. Let me get it right. That's the confusion and the cognitive dissonance that we have. Let's go. So this is Lucia, right? Everybody should be able to see her. This is Lucia. It's a recreation. Let me say it one more time. It is a recreation. Go Dr. Umar on you. It is a recreation. But those are the real bones found in South America, which have been dated back, if y'all believe in their carbon dating, to 12,000 years ago. And what I'm saying, I'm not contradicting myself because I'm putting so much faith in their scientists. What I do is also check their scientists. You got to have awareness. I don't believe everything they say. You got to check it. What I'm saying is they might not because what I'm about to show you, it favors my opinion. See, I have self-checks myself. But what I'm telling you is that according to the high cheekbones, just like they would have did it, I'm pretty sure they didn't want to admit this. But according to the high cheekbones, according to the pottery that they found around there, according to the wide nostrils, because of how the nasal base or the nasal bones is set, they couldn't hide it. It's a new day. Sorry, it went back out. Let me show you one more time before I show you. I'm about to show you. I want you to get a good look. Good look. I want you to tell me that I don't look exactly like my grandmother. This Lucia. Oh, boy. Again, I can give you my offense and you still don't have no defense because, again, this is why it's not an argument. It's a debate. So I'm going to get back to the basis. I got all the bases. I got all the bases. Checkmate. Check me out. You know also the word Mayan, transliterated, echoed through the world in many different variables of languages. For example, Mayan in Hindustan at that time, which is nowadays India, is number 2. Because Mayan, to the people, that again was really the Itsas, knew that Mayan just meant the town, the people, as if you know that the Mayans have been studied to run their towns and people or nation by city-states. See? It's 2. After that, it gets elusive. 2 is known to be an illusion after that. Everybody else is just an illusion of it. This goes into spirituality, but just know that 2 is just two ones. Still a one, but it's two ones if you can get that. If I had a water bottle and I put another water bottle, it's still the same water bottles. It's just separate, or the illusion of separateness is what gives me two different volumes that we call water. And we package them in water bottles. Don't let that go over your head. Try to keep it simple. Because everything in our linguistics, in our language, was connected to spirituality. So this is how I had to explain that. Could explain it in different ways, but that's the way. Matter of fact, Philippines, they have a word, which, you know, the Philippines are mixed people because they've been conquered by the Spanish. So most of their some of their dialect is Spanish, and some of it is the Negritos, or native language. They have a word called Mama Mayan, which means the people. Hold up. You have a Twa word, which the Twa we know been around the world. So that's another argument. Why don't we talk about the Africans that came on their own over here? Because again, that's mixing. But it's the originals are mixing. It's the original Twa person mixing with another American original over here. And you know they've been over here and they've been connected because, again, we go by the words. And we know they didn't come from just each other because of diverse genetics. They started off where they started off, and they started off as who they are still today. We ain't the ones that had to evolve. That's another topic for another day. And you can see that. We don't have to I'm not just talking, you can see that. Me, my grandma, the Twa people, the Khoi in South America, the Melanesians, they all look the same since they did 60,000 years ago. Like the Australian said he'd been there in Australia. See, the game is that you think you know something because of what the conqueror told you. And we're fighting against each other about what the conqueror told us. Ain't that crazy? Y'all don't see that as crazy? Yeah, the Twa language for town or people is Mayan, or Mayan. See how that morpheme came about? This is how we get the Phoenicians who traveled around the world, again, like the Twa people, giving phonetics later on in life. Because what I'm talking about is going back to scratch. I'm talking about like Lucia is going back to 12,000 years ago, where the first ice age was just receding. You see what I'm saying? Because after the first ice age receded, if you go back before that, you're talking about the Lemuria and the land of Mu and all this other stuff that we've been had ancient builders, and then you're talking about the hieroglyphs and the Sphinx that we got over there in the Grand Canyon, which got covered by the ice age. And that can be proven by the watermarks that's left on there. And you can go research that yourself with the geologists. And again, I'm not circumventing the proof of burden, because I got Google right now, I can show you the watermarks. We can do our own investigation. But what I'm saying is, to be coherent, to be cooperative, to stand on some type of basis, to have some type of relativity, you have to have some type of knowledge on what I'm talking. See what I'm saying? Or we just talking. If you don't know what a pot is, I can't tell you how to cook. Unless we talking about barbecuing or something. See what I'm saying? It takes it to a whole different formula, right? So, y'all can miss me with any of those psychosis. I'm never doing that. I'm always gonna take you to the point. And I'm just showing you how our knowledge is scattered all over, because we don't have people, again, instead of having constructive builds and constructive establishments and constructing institutions to construct paperwork and construct administrations that allow us to program our people the way we need to program them, instead of being programmed by them or indoctrinated, we'll never do it. All we're going to keep is having destructive conversations about what we think we not and what we think we are. Ooh, man. And we the ones that started civilization. do some of y'all own things and see what geologists say, see if they back what I'm saying. But these ripples inside the canyon, just like you see the snow on top of the mountain, these ripples inside the canyon, I can go to the other pictures and zoom in on those. Those are different temples, and you can even see it back here. Those are shaped like temples. Then I can show you one that looks like a sphinx. Then we can show you the outline old Isis. But anyway, these ripple effects, these different layers and lines that you see, almost like rings of a tree, but they're not in rings. They're in horizontal lines. These lines are showing how water receded. And whether it was coming back, pushing back on it like a wave or not, it was receding on it. Which, of course, geologists admit that half of North America was under ice during the Ice Age. So we got to know the only tropical weather was like Brazil, and the thing that looked opposite of Brazil is Africa. It's not hard to think that people could just pop up in both places, especially if they was once together, which means it was just one place. Again, one place, and then you split the water and turn it into two. All right. Don't get lost. It's not hard. Show something else on here I ain't show last time when we talking about Morocco. We were with my man yesterday, and I wanted to point out how the Morocco Sultan on a United States Treaty of Peace and Friendship, Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco back in 1786, told United States it should be made up by the payment. If basically they're talking about payments or any if any relief by payments for a prisoner basically could be exchanged for a prisoner. Basically, if any proceeds or anything could be exchanged for a prisoner, because at this time they had war on the seas, maritime. It should be paid in Mexican dollars. And let me read it for you just in case you don't control the narrative. In the case of a war between the parties, United States and Morocco, the prisoners are not to be made slaves, but to be exchanged one for another, captain for captain, officer for officer, and one private man for another. And if there shall prove a deficiency on either side, it shall be made up, the difference, by the payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person wanting, and it is agreed that all prisoners shall be exchanged in 12 months from the time of their being taken, and that this exchange may be effected by a merchant or any other person authorized by either of the parties. So why would you pay in Mexican dollars or a Mexum? Because that's the real name, a Mexum. Why would you pay the Sultan, or the Sultan would request Mexican dollars if Americas, which is Americas in Roman terms, as far as the Romans knew it, because the Romans got the map late via the new Holy Roman Empire, was the west side of Europe, basically German, all the way over to France. And then the left side, like Spain, England, and all of them, was the Christian powers, as they call it over there. And why would the Sultan request that they had to pay in Mexican dollars or a Mexum dollars? They can just use silver, gold, or use their own nation, or bargain for real resources like we used to. This is 1786. And according to the Muslim calendar, it was only 1286. There we go. Let me add that in there. And then what y'all should do is go do your homework on how many cities and towns are Muslim names, like Alabama, which means the bush clear. You see what I'm saying? Then y'all can get what Kanye was saying, that this slavery story ain't go how y'all thought it did. Not at all. Again, prisoners of warfare, and it's still currently happening. I'm getting my man on here about tomorrow. We're gonna end up talking about the West Indies, which is west of the Indian Ocean, because Indi just means like indigo or indigenous people. All that line is indigenous. Let me show you where the Indian Ocean at, because India, again, wasn't called India back then. It was called Hindustan. Show you. Let me show you. So a lot of you don't like doing your homework. Let me show you. So this is Indian Ocean. And then you go over here is India. Indian Ocean. If you come over, you hit Australia. You go past Australia, you come into America. Or you can buck up and still come to America, but you can go past China, Russia, and then you're going to hit Alaska. That used to be a trade line. Don't forget it. Remember, this is why we say, hey, player, is that you coming over the Himalaya? Shout out Martin. Hey, player, is that you coming over the Himalaya? Let me make sure y'all can see this. Show y'all again. Indian Ocean. Right there. You go over to Indian Ocean, guess where you're going? You're going past Australia into the Pacific Ocean. And you're headed to America, bro. You're either going to hit Cali, the land of the Caliphates, from Cali, the women. The Amazonians used to be there, all woman island, which makes sense, and that's a whole nother line. Or you can hit the west side of Mexico, and then get to the Levant, because you know that's the neck. That's the neck of America, Central America. Or you can hit the South America and end up hitting Peru or something. You know what I'm saying? So you hit the neck of Mexico, you got Ecuador, stuff like that. And then you keep going down, you get South America, you're going to hit Peru, Salvador, stuff like that in the middle. You come back up, again, you hitting Cali, New Mexico at the bottom, all of that. Show you something. Look this up. How did Muslims get all the way over here in the Philippines? Which is right next to Vietnam. The same Vietnam they made our grandfathers go over and catch PTSD. And we wonder why we tripping now. I want y'all to go do y'all homework on how Muslims end up in the Negritos area, in what they call the Philippines, where the Morose Sea at. Morose means brown sea, brown in Spanish, where they usually call the Moriscos, or the converters of the Moors, because again, Moors is a third point of view, just explaining dark people. Dark people was all over the world, trading. We had these trade secrets since Egypt and the pharaohs. This would have allowed us to extend Kush. This is what the Hoteppers are talking about. But again, why don't we put all this knowledge together and see the real picture? And stop denationalizing our people, because that's what you're doing when you try to say they're from Africa. It has nothing to do with hate. The point is you're denationalizing them when you're telling them that the only way they came here was by force, and they from somewhere else. They're not from somewhere else, and they didn't come here just by force. People was here by the millions. Literally, probably like under 1,000 people came here by force, and you couldn't get them by force. You had to trick them over here. And the way you tricked them over here were people that you had put under pressure to tell you over here so they can gain freedom. was just the informants or rats as we call them. And so we forgive them because I see what's going on. I see what's going on. Just like y'all forget y'all rats, because we know what Caucasians in Europe did. We know what they did too. This is what I'm telling y'all. This is prisoners of warfare. And the point of being about so emotional about it is about getting better and sharper. But do your homework on the Muslims over here in the bottom of the Philippines. And they call it Mindanao. Muslims in the Mindanao. Look what happened to them, how they try to cut off their history. So this is a good look at what's going on. The Philippines, like I said, you got Vietnam right across. Got China. This is all, remember, this is the spice and silk trade that they're talking about. That wasn't just going to the Mediterranean Sea. It was also going to the Pacific Ocean, because we had cotton and all this over here and the main spices. India didn't have that many spices, bro. It don't have all the spices that we be trading, bro. So Philippines, what you would call, would be a trade spot or a meeting spot, a centre. Just like Hawaii would be. This is why when you go up and look up King Kamehameha, he's dark with locks. This is why they call it Polynesian, right next to Indonesia, because this is where they was mixing at. This is why China people are still pale, even though right next to them in Indonesia and Melanesia, they dark with blonde hair. Do y'all homework? Do I gotta go J-Main on y'all? Yeah, I'm hip. Do a lot of research, but I'm still hip. So you got the people in New Guinea, Papua New Guinea with the afros. Come on, man, y'all tripping. My bad, almost messed up my thing. Y'all tripping, man. I gotta see the bigger picture. This is showing you the bigger picture. We know what's over here on our side of the world. Let me show you what's on that side of the world. You know what's in Africa. Let me show you this side. The whole world is dark for real. These people, or what we call Neanderthals, or pale people, are coming from the north, Nordic. We'll get into that later, because that's going near the North Pole. That's going into aliens. We ain't got to talk about that. We want to stay on logic. Logically, we know that indigenous people come from all over this land, and this whole land was one at first. And you can even see the breaks apart. What broke it apart, who knows? We know pressure can build up in this atmosphere, and pressure can be relieved in this atmosphere. This is where temperature drops in increase come from. With that being said, we know we got volcanoes and other things that can give us impactful pressures within intense moments, which cause earthquakes and stuff. We know that. But again, let's just stay on what is going on now, and we can compare it to what we did know, so we know where we're going. You get me? And then once we know where we're going, we can contemplate on, like geologists are doing, or the foreign geologists are doing, that have the time to go around and talk about the luxury stuff, because they already got their institution rights. We need to get ours back. Right here, it says right here too, show you that places are middle points to meet at. Say the port of Manila is often considered the best natural harbor in the East Asia, and is connected to the vast network of international shipping channels. This helps make the Philippines an important economic force in the region. Same thing that's going on now. It's nothing new under the sun. Same thing was going back then. We used to meet in the middle, and different nations used to come get their stuff and go back and drop off the stuff that they had. Exchange. Including down to people. Read your Bible, where it said they was trading sisters, they was trading brothers. These people we was empowering our empires. Unlike the foreigners, let's say this nicely. Let's be real now. Should be able to be real. See, they're trying to create a lot of sensitivity so people can't be real. So let me say this nicely. Unlike the foreigners who had less diversity in their DNA, this is why I'm getting down to this point. It's called subtraction, simplifying, division. Like they're trying to divide us. Let's divide this investigation down to the simple basis. Watch this. Caucasians or other foreigners don't have enough DNA diversity, you see what I'm saying, to do what we did as far as arranged marriages and arrange different nations to crossbreed so we can strengthen our ties, like they're just able to do because they don't have the diverse. They didn't have the diversity of genetics to do that, and this is why they had to do incest. Asians, what you see today, not the Afro Asians or the original Asians, the paleo or pale Asians as you see, you had to go through incest. That's what the dynasty was about, keeping it in the family. Hint, hint. Arabs, anybody that you see that are foreigners, that are new breeds, hybrids on the world, they had to go through incest. And now our people are hybrided because we have been mixed with the different from people from West Indies. This is the West Indies, but people from Jamaica, St. Lucia's, those are different genetics, different atmospheres. Give different genetics. We have been mixed with them too. But my point is that we are the original. This would come back to the 12 tribe. We are the organic people of the sun, the children of the sun. So as much as we mix, all we're doing is creating diversity. It's like 2 times something always gonna make another number. So it keep going on forever. Numbers go on forever. See what I'm saying? Unless you times the same number. And that's incest. See what I'm saying? Okay. So, with that being said, bro, we just gotta open our eyes, like Jesus said. See things for what they are. It's funny, right? The same people who think they seeing reality or thinking they living normal ain't living normal. They actually living out of reality. Shout out to Key and Peele that made that movie Get Out. Because people literally gotta get out their heads. It took me a long time. Depression had me in my head. Get out your heads. You ain't wrong. Something is wrong around you. I had this written down. Shout out to the Igbo tribe. Told you it's not about being emotional. Igbo tribe, I don't know what they was thinking. The Igbo tribe, y'all, West Africa, in nowadays Ghana, again, because these countries in Ghana, modern day names did not exist all the way back then. But the Igbo tribe did. That still resides what we call near the Yoruba tribe over there near Ghana and Nigeria. So it's again, Nigeria and Ghana didn't exist at this point, so it wasn't no boundary line. But matter of fact, the Nigers or Nigerians who used to live by the water, like we all used to live by the water. We used to be the Mississippian mound builders. Self-reflection over across the river. They used to be the Nigers. Just like across there, they used to live by the Nile. Okay, bro. Anyway, the Igbo tribe, which is modern day Nigeria now, is the first people who let England inside their country so they can cut off into the Congos and get resources and start doing this and whatever else they wanted to do it for. Who knows what the England promised them? Because we living off promises. Faith and credit is what we still living off of. Be aware. So now that you got your faith and credit in this country who did this, I just want y'all to know this type of stuff so we know where we going. But the Igbo tribe is the ones that let the England in and weaken the Africa's defense lines. And there also was with the slavery thing. And no, that still doesn't mean that they was able to get people from inland and sell them all the way across by the millions, or even taking 100 people and setting them down at the end of the boat. No, you didn't do that. What you did was kill people, take their resources, and enslave some of them, and use them right then and there on their land, and tortured some of them to tell you where they had trade lines at elsewhere. That's what you did. And you told them you put them on top of the boat, like you showed us in the pics, in our paintings, and you told him to show you how to get there, like you showed in the paintings. And then you used him to interpret because these people have been there already, like you said in your writings. But somehow we allowed these, let me pull it back out so you don't think I'm lying. We got these English servitudes who were slaves to Britain come here and come automatically get slaves. show you. I just put the paper down. So, indentured servitude, aka slaves, which come from Yugoslavia, which they all were slaves in Greece or students in Greece, which used to be Yugoslavia. Don't get it twisted. And they carry that caste system around. And look, they even got his blood mark right there. That's his blood mark, specimen right there. His contract. You pull it back out. You telling me indentured servitude, slaves, came over here and got slaves ASAP. Not to mention England and Britain was sending their unwanted people. But you telling me your unwanted prostitutes, robbers and all that came with no guns for real, just promised land, came and took over. No, they didn't. Stop it. This is the whole story that we showed y'all how to grow food, yams, knowledge we gave y'all. Showed you how to survive and make residuals off the land by sharecropping, growing stocks, what we turned into intellectual digital property today. We did that. This is what our young people gotta know, so they don't have to be around in the streets like right now, because it's 1:17 in the morning, slinging guns, trying to rob somebody. They can be in a house like I'm doing right now, making a video, or working on their invention, or working on children's books like I'm doing. All this other plethora of stuff. And then if we understood the power of investing in our own people, we have a plethora of money. Then we can also branch off and make our own nation like we supposed to, because we got the right to nationality, which means we can do free trade and all this. So money itself, like the Federal Reserve note, would just be a luxury. Literally, we wouldn't have to use it to spend money in our last and thread over it and stress over it, pull out our hair over it. It'd be luxury. It'd be as free as air. This is why Mansa Musa made a war tactic and a mockery of society when he went from in present-day Mali all the way to Mecca, dropping gold, setting off the economy, the national economy at that, because he was trying to show Rome at that time, who just entered into trade by the 500s, finding their first silver in the Behemoth Grove. Say that twice. The Behemoth Grove, the same Behemoth Grove that we mystify in Behemoth and the Illuminati and all. No, it's not all of that. The Behemoth Grove is valued by the Romans and other people in Europe because that's where they found their first silver at. Just hop into the national trade. Without that, they would have still been indentured servitudes and our stewards. Nothing to do with race, nothing to do with hatred. Facts, and it's something to do with classism because of knowledge. Hosea 4:6, this is why people perish for the lack of knowledge. I think I'm going to leave it right there because I want y'all to soak that up. Again, shout out to Yaki. Shout out to Maurice Bay for holding that seminar and then even breaking down the etymology of war. Because boy, did that even it relieved me. Because now I'm not tripping when I say that somebody's confusing people on purpose. I know I'm not tripping when I show people, yo, use your spirit of discernment to hurry up and pick that person out that's trying to confuse you. We don't need none of these people. We need to expose them so quick they should be scared to talk like that. Because now we know you're an agent. Somebody got to smack your head. Let me not talk like that. Now we know you're an agent. You could possibly put yourself in harm's way. Because at a certain point, especially when we redirect the anger of our gangsters out here and strangers, and we use them as our fortification, you might not want to be doing misinformation. Might not be good. But I'm gonna leave it there. It's a new day. Shalom.